Hey everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here to talk to you about the beginning of February and the full moon that we have that takes place on February 5th. Today that I'm recording this video, it is January 26th and all planets are now direct, so it is full steam ahead. The energy is gaining momentum. We are also gaining momentum. We can feel obstacles begin to clear. Clarity is incoming. Now, this doesn't mean that everything is perfect, and it does not mean that it's the same for everybody or that there aren't going to be any challenges, because that's just not reality. However, the planets are supporting movement forward right now. First things first, if you enjoy this content, please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon so that you are notified when I upload new videos. It also really helps me to grow my channel, so I really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my free newsletter at lisasalvatore.com if you don't already receive it. Each Sunday, I put out a newsletter with the astrology and energy report for the week ahead, and you'll be able to keep up with events and classes and workshops and such. Now, I realize that it is the end of January, but my 2023 forecast is going to be available for purchase and download Sunday, February 5th. So be sure to check my website to get the information for that. It is jam-packed with great information for every single sign and also for the collective. We talk about the major planetary transits that take place for 2023. Each segment is geared towards the collective energy overall, but also the signs. Now, in the very first installment, which is the January through March portion, I go into great detail showing you a sample chart. I show you how to pull up your placements in detail. I go over the symbols for the zodiac signs. So if you're new to astrology, you may really find this informative and helpful. And even if you're seasoned, you'll likely still find it very informative and very helpful. So again, be on the lookout for that, lisasalvatore.com. Okay, so let's talk about the beginning of February. Dare I say that the month starts off calmly? Well, at least planetary-wise, it starts off calmly. Like I said, we do not have anything in retrograde at the moment, and there aren't any major planetary blowouts that are happening at the beginning of the month. We are, however, going to start the month off with a dramatic and passionate full moon in the sign of Leo on February 5th, Sunday, February 5th. This is a very dynamic full moon filled with energy, and we are absolutely feeling this buildup, especially in our bodies. Remember that Leo rules over many things, but one of the things that Leo rules over is the heart. And I can tell you that these last few weeks, we have been getting hit hard with solar flares. I talked about this in previous newsletters. The bottom line is that our physical bodies have been feeling this. Headaches, nausea, stiff joints and muscles. Again, of course, barring a medical condition, if you know that you're okay, always take care of your body. But if you know that you're okay, this is likely energetically related. Now remember, Leo also rules over the heart, and like I said, I know a lot of people, myself included, have been experiencing heart flutters, palpitations, rapid heartbeat at times, anxiety out of the blue. This is all a part of the frequencies that are coming into the earth that our bodies are feeling. Our physical bodies are responding to this. So make sure you take time to ground. It's extremely important. And it's also important to check in with your heart literally about what you want and where you're going. Leo is also the sign of courage. So we know that when we have a full moon, the full moon occurs when the sun and the moon are in the opposite signs of each other, opposite points in the sky. So the sun is currently in the sign of Aquarius and the moon is going to be in dynamic Leo. And this is where we have our full moon. This takes place 1:28 p.m. Eastern Time at 16 degrees and 40 minutes of Leo. So if you have anything between 15 and 19 degrees, especially of the fixed signs, which are Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius, especially if it's your sun, your moon, or your ascendant, you are likely going to feel this energy the strongest. Again, we all feel full moon energy because it is quite big, full. It brings everything up to the surface, especially on the emotional level, but more so if you have any points or placements between that 15 and 19 degree point of the fixed signs. So let's think about what a full moon is and what it does. So it's polarities, right? It's the opposing energies, the opposing forces in our lives. Full moons tend to bring everything up to the surface for culmination and for release, for better or worse. And our emotions are a huge part of that. Now, not every single full moon feels as emotional one way or the other. Some feel very chill, some feel very active. Some feel very stress-inducing. They're all different because of the planetary energies that are surrounding each full moon cycle. And then obviously, of course, the biggest piece is the signs that the moon and the sun fall under at the time of this full moon, which again, sun is in Aquarius, moon is in Leo. So what does that mean? Okay, well, Aquarius is a sign that can be impersonal, meaning they're very objective. They're very rational. Aquarius is an air sign, fixed air. They fall under the element of air, which is the intellect, intelligence, the thinker. But it's more of like an objective and detached way of thinking. It's quite logical by nature. Now again, if you're Aquarian and you're like, well, I'm super sensitive and I this and I that, I'm not saying that Aquarians themselves are impersonal. I'm just saying that the energy of Aquarius is more impersonal in the way in which it's about others, okay? Aquarius is a sign that is all about humanity. It's about the collective energies, and it's about service. It's also about groups that we're a part of. It's about networking. And Aquarius energy is always thinking about the future. Now, Aquarius is also a sign connected to humbleness and humility, because they're typically more concerned about the collective, about the group, about the others. Yes, of course, they can be selfish and be me in other ways, but when it comes to service, they have a very strong vision of the collective. Now, Leo, the opposite sign of Aquarius, is actually quite ego-driven, and that's not negative, right? Because healthy ego has its place. So Leo is a sign of theatrics. It's a fixed fire sign. It is bold, it's dynamic, it's courageous, represented by the lion, hence my background, okay? Leo is a symbol of strength. In fact, the tarot card that Leo rules over is the Strength card, number 8. So with the sign of Leo comes a sense of pride and a sense of ego. And Leo can be all about themselves. Now again, that healthy ego has its place. There are times when we do need to be selfish and we do need to take center stage and focus on ourselves and ourselves only in order to get ahead. And this is where the balance comes in with the Aquarian Leo axis, because we need to find that balance between humbleness and humility and then ego and pride. We don't want to be arrogant and we don't want to be selfish, but at the same time, we don't want to give so much of ourselves that we have nothing left for ourselves. We want to tap into our own innate strength while also helping others. This is the Leo Aquarius conundrum, and this could be brought up for you in some area of your life under this energy. You're definitely going to want to check your chart to see where both Aquarius and Leo fall, see the opposing houses, and feel into the energy as what is coming up for you under these energies. It's likely going to be highly emotional because Leo is an emotional sign. And a full moon will always illuminate everything, but specifically, a full moon will illuminate conflict. It will illuminate what's really upsetting us, what's been underneath the surface for the previous 28, 29-day cycle when we had our last full moon. And the purpose of that is for us to do our work so that we can release what isn't working for us and make way for what's good, for what's right, for what's new. Everything is cyclical, right? So again, this full moon takes place on Sunday, February 5th, 1:28 p.m. Eastern Time, 16 degrees and 40 minutes of Leo. I'm gonna pull up the chart in a moment, but furthering the emotionality of this full moon, and I wanna stress that it is definitely a bold and dynamic energy, and there could be a lot of positivity attached to it, but the strongest aspect to this full moon is that it's in an almost exact square, which is a frictional aspect, with Uranus in Taurus. And Uranus, as we know, is the planet of unexpected change. It can be very abrupt change, very abrupt endings and beginnings, a burst of emotions. Remember, Uranus is impulsive, okay? So under this full moon, I really want you to pay attention to what upsets you, to what gets your goat, as my grandma used to say, because there's going to be this opportunity for you to actually go into that and do some inner healing of the heart, of your own heart, as opposed to popping off and flipping out and freaking out on everybody, because again, the potential is here. And again, if you're fixed, okay, it's going to be that much stronger. Now, let's not forget that Leo rules over our creative passions, our creativity. It is our energy, our life force. Leo's ruled by the sun, so it's all about our vitality. And Leo also rules over children and romance. But going back to the children component, if you have children or you're connected to children in your life, something emotional might come up for you surrounding them. They may come to you with an emotional concern. They may come to you telling you that they feel like an outcast, because sometimes Aquarius energy can make us alienate ourselves, and then we can feel like an outcast even though we're doing that. We don't necessarily always realize that. So you may be called in to step in and help a child out in regards to how they're feeling and how they're feeling through their emotions. So it may not necessarily be about you. So there's many different ways that this energy can play out, but one thing is for certain, it is intense, okay? It is going to feel a little bit dramatic. Also passionate though, so that's very positive. Leo also rules over love and romance. So if you're single, if you're looking for love, it could be a really good energy for that. Look outside of the box. Remember, square Uranus. Look outside of your comfort zone. Be open to doing things a different way to get different results. Yeah, sure, some things do happen fated and they're out of our control, but we also have a hand in co-creating our destiny, right? We have to take the steps. We have to do something a little different. We have to be more open to change. And that's really when things will start to move forward. And as I'm recording, and as I'm talking about all this, I just had a massive realization, and I'm going to share it with you. Gonna get personal. So, I have fixed placements falling between 13 and 18 degrees of the fixed energies, okay? And I tend to feel shifts before they happen. And I honestly say that always makes me a good psychic because, and that gives me that ability to really see into things because I've already felt it. So I know it's coming because I'm very energetically sensitive, especially when it comes to the planetary shifts. All of that to say, last week I myself had a situation where, emotional situation where something has been bugging me for a really long time. Really long time. And it's very valid. Like, my reasoning is very valid. I know when I'm being a jerk. And if I thought that I was, I would honor that, admit it. But the reason that I basically imploded, I did a classic Taurus explosion, and it was very abrupt, Uranus, hello, was because I felt like my boundaries were violated in a way that wasn't cool. And I know that others on the outside saw it as well. And I guess I felt like I wasn't being supported. Yet I was acting irrational. So that was my full moon square Uranus moment, and I'm hoping that that is it. All right, so let's pull up the chart. Okay, so we see we've got the Leo full moon, February 5th, 2023, 1:28 p.m. Eastern Time. And here we have the sun at 16 degrees and 40 minutes of Aquarius, and directly opposite, we have the moon here at 16 degrees and 40 minutes of Leo. And we see good old Uranus right over here at 15 degrees of Taurus, which is in an almost exact square to the sun and moon. Tension, friction. It's also quite karmic. So again, really pay attention to the abrupt emotions, the abrupt thoughts that come into your awareness, situations that come into your awareness, because they will likely be abrupt. They may hit you out of nowhere. So this is how this energy works, okay? And again, I'm gonna tell you that if you've got fixed points and placements between 14 and 20 degrees, I'll even stretch it, of the fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, that's not to say you will have an explosion, but again, something could blindside you and make you realize that you've been sitting on something and not addressing it. Hashtag you heard it here first. Okay, so this is definitely the tightest aspect around this full moon is Uranus squaring the full moon. Now this could bring in impatient behavior, erratic behavior, impulsive behavior. So guess what I'm gonna tell you? Remember, everyone feels this energy, not just me, not just you. Everyone feels it. So just be a little more mindful, especially when you're driving, especially when you're doing any kind of work that requires real technical precision. Just be a little bit more mindful because this is volatile energy as well. And it may not be at your expense, but it may be someone else. So just want to issue that little extra caution. Now let's talk about Mars, our planet of action and force and will and drive. Mars is now direct, thankfully. However, Mars is still in Gemini. And positively speaking, Mars is helping out this full moon. It's in a trine to the sun and sextile to the moon, which again, those are both very harmonious, helpful aspects that can just help smooth things over a little bit, especially when it comes to our communication. And Venus up here at 12 degrees of Pisces, Venus loves to be in Pisces. So while Venus is in Pisces, she just personifies the element of pleasure and beauty that much more. She adds a sweetness to the energy while she's in the sign of Pisces, Venus, which she'll be for the next couple of weeks, which is nice. But Venus over here at 12 degrees of Pisces is in a square, a pretty tight square aspect to Mars. So that's friction and heat, but that can also be positive, Venus and Mars, when it comes to love and romance, for example. And healthy conflict often makes relationships stronger, right? But again, we gotta watch all this Uranus energy. And Uranus is positively aspecting Venus, so that could help to smooth things out. Now again, this could lend to unexpected meetings, unexpected romance. Remember, Leo is the sign of the heart. Venus is love. She's in Pisces right now. She's happy here. She wants to mingle. She's in a square to Mars, so could be that you meet somebody and you get into an argument and that's how you start dating them, for example. Or you have a fight with a family member which ends up smoothing over a 5-year conflict. This is how this energy works. So yeah, it can be dramatic, but in the best way possible as well. And I want to draw attention over here to Pluto at 28 degrees of Capricorn and Mercury over here at 22 of Capricorn. Pluto and Mercury are aligned, they're conjunct. You know, remember, Pluto is all about power and control. It's secrets, it's fear, it's paranoia, and Mercury is the way that we think, it's the words that we speak, it's the way that we express. So we have to be very conscious of the words that we are speaking, especially the words that we are speaking to ourselves, because Pluto is internal, right? Pluto harbors. Pluto moves really slow. So you really want to watch the way that you're talking to yourself, the way that you're speaking of yourself, the way that you're speaking to others, because this all carries its own vibration. Now, positively speaking, Pluto and Mercury is great for deep thinking, it's great for research, it's great for investigative work, and in Capricorn, it's geared towards results. So we can really transcend a lot here with this Pluto-Mercury conjunction. But again, we're going to be going deep in order to get to that. This is definitely a deep full moon. There's a lot here about maybe feeling a little bit stressed, but that stress is actually helping us to step into our power in a specific area or areas of our lives. And again, you're definitely going to want to check your chart to see where this full moon falls. Now, with the sun in a trine to Mars, this is highly energizing. This is really good. Remember, the sun actually rules the sign of Leo, and Leo is this full moon. So the sun essentially rules this full moon. And even though the sun is in the sign of its fall, which is Aquarius, it still has power here because it is the ruler of Leo. And the sun and Mars together are very action-orientated and very confident and passionate. Leo is the sign of leadership, it's royalty. It's about taking ownership and accountability. So again, we're taking ownership and accountability over our own emotional worlds, over our own passions, over our own creations. This can all be geared towards a creative project. It doesn't have to be romance. It doesn't have to be children. It doesn't have to be love. It can be any and all of those things. And again, of course, for each person, that's going to be very different. But one thing is certain, it's strong heart energy. That's Leo. Take agency over your own life, over your soul. Somebody asked me what it means to do soul work, because I often talk about that. And this is it. This is where you go deep and you recognize what's there so that you can transcend it and move forward and do things a different way. That's soul work. When you don't do your soul work, that's like you're ignoring the reason why you flipped out and going back to that behavior next time. Instead of looking into it, to going into your heart, Leo, to correct why you flipped out in the first place. What was the bottom line there? What was the trigger? That's when you do your soul work. And Pluto and Mercury are going to be digging deep under this full moon, encouraging that. Oh, and I just noticed that Eris up here, she's at 2358 of Aries. Eris is the street fighter. Eris is the one who wants everybody to have their voice and to have their justice. Eris is in a square to Mercury, almost an exact square. She's still widely squaring Pluto. That's been a theme for well over a year. But now she's in a square to Mercury, so that's about our voice. That's about using our voice. That's about communicating. So you may find yourself in a situation where you're forced to stand up for yourself. And if you're normally a passive person and you normally don't do that, you're gonna maybe surprise yourself in the most positive way possible. All about the delivery though. And with Uranus so present with this full moon, we really gotta just take a minute and go inward before we emote, before we express, if possible. It's not always possible, like what happened to me last week. I normally do the count to 10, walk away. I didn't do that. I lost my mind. But hey, it happens. That's how we learn, that's how we grow. And that's how we know there's always more healing that we need to do. And that, my friends, is this full moon in Leo. Let me get a tarot card for the full moon. Let me know how you're feeling. Comment below. How are you feeling emotionally? Full moons always pull up the emotions. And again, because it's Leo, they're likely to be fast and fiery, dramatic. Ace of Cups. So this is all about a new emotional situation or a new emotional opportunity. And I'm gonna look at this as being able to handle emotions in a different way. Uranus squaring this full moon, Venus squaring Mars, Eris squaring Mercury. We're having opportunity to communicate in a different way, to talk to ourselves in a different way, to handle our emotions maybe in a different way, in a more constructive way. It will be an emotional time. Ace of Cups also brings in new. So remember, there's a lot of potential here around this full moon. So yes, even though full moons are all about releasing what isn't working, that also makes space of calling in the new. Lots of heart energy, like I said. Cups are emotion. Take really good care of yourselves, and I will be back soon with another video. Bye.